Ladies and gentlemen, I am lucky enough today to be at a backyard barbecue in Washington State on my 50-state tour with my crew, visiting an old friend of mine who we realized we've known each other for 30 years. And we happen to have a mutual soon-to-be friend, soon-to-be acquaintance, and his name is Erwin Laureano. He is also here in Washington State. He is from here. And you know what, Erwin, you have a very interesting passion while still having a full-time job that I think my listeners will really get a lot out of. So can you tell us what exactly is Young Life? I know that is what your passion is.
Yep, so on a daily basis, my 9-to-5 job is basically a startup operations engineer with NewScale Power. What I do really love doing outside of work is I'm involved with a ministry called Young Life, as you mentioned, and it's a Christian outreach ministry that ministers to high school kids, middle school kids, and also college kids. So currently I'm in Corvallis, Oregon, and I'm with a Young Life team there for Oregon State University, so go Beavers. And one of the things that I do love is Young Life is a ministry in which we earn the right to be heard. Basically, we just don't hang out with people and preach to them and tell them how to live their lives, but we actually just have a relationship with kids, basically celebrating their victories, going through the struggles of their lives, and being able to speak into their lives of basically what has worked with us. And for myself, the way that I get through the day, you know, I do a lot of prayer, I do a lot of meditation, I do read the Bible, I do, in a sense, speak to God, you know, because I believe that relationship is really important. And I just kind of share that with kids that I know, whether they're college or high school or middle school kids.
Now, is this an organization that you're a part of or that you created?
It's an organization that I am part of.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
That's really interesting. Basically, what happened was when I moved to Tri-Cities many years ago, my wife was already involved with Young Life. And she was working with a team that was ministering to Kennewick High School at the time. And I was watching what was going on, and I was seeing that my wife was making a very positive impact in the lives of young kids who were going through big problems and small problems. Small problems in the sense of what dress am I going to wear to prom, to big problems of my parents are getting divorced. And I would be able to see my wife speak into those kids' lives and give them a sense of direction and hope by empowering them, you know, whether it was spiritually and giving them some emotional strength on how to live day by day. And I just saw the fruits of that, just to see, you know, kids who were struggling in life, that a light bulb would just pop up in their head and they would just get a sense of hope. And then they would be able to take those struggles, and then that it would become a strength in their own lives, so that they would be able to minister to and speak to their peers of what they were going through. So basically what ended up happening was I got hooked. I ended up getting involved with Young Life, and I ended up being involved with Kamaikan High School Young Life team for probably close to 18 years.
Wow, wow. Now, I am sure you have many stories that stand out to you. Is there one you could share with us?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges of Young Life is, you know, you have an old fogey like me who's trying to, in a sense, interact and relate to kids that are a lot younger. So, believe it or not, you still get kind of nervous when you walk on campus of, wow, I'm like reliving my junior high or high school days again. Am I going to get rejected? Am I going to be welcomed into a group? And what you will find out is that kids are very real and they're very smart. They know the intentions of adults that enter their circles. And if they see and if they sense by your words and by your actions that you wholeheartedly care about their everyday life and that you're there to help them through the tough obstacles that comes their way through everyday living, then they welcome you. You know, they all know that living our life, especially in this day and age, is pretty tough with all the challenges and temptations that kids face on a day-to-day basis. And what they would love to hear and get their lives spoken into is people who have already gone through that, whether they've done it successfully or that they have failed yet learned from their mistakes. And what we're able to do with that is speak into that, but also most importantly give them some spiritual backing, whether it's through Jesus Christ or found in Scripture. Those are things that we kind of keep in the background as well to ground some of the counseling that we share with kids.
So is there one young person that stands out in your memory from all of your experience?
I think one of my strongest memories dealing with kids was actually there's a couple individuals that struggle with self-esteem issues. It is amazing that through my years of young life, how many kids that I have known that have struggled with of how they view their physical body, and they end up with eating disorders. And these are beautiful people. And all it takes, and I recall this one gal that basically one guy just went to her, "Oh, looks like you put on a little weight." And that was enough to really mess up her life. And what to me, it just showed to me that the power of words and how that could really set people back based on what their peers feel about them or see about them. And what I'm happy to say about is as this person shared her struggles and became very open about what she was struggling with, and also with some family involvement, this individual did get professional help. Because even as a young life leader, we do know our limitations, that for the most part a lot of us are volunteers that just really love kids and want to do our best. But there are times that professionals need to come in and speak some truth into these people's lives so that they could see that they are indeed beautiful people, and there might be other things to get medical help, to get family involvement to help them overcome these eating disorders. So with that, what I have found is that young life leaders tend to get an audience with kids where something that they might not share immediately with their family, but because we're on the outside and we've earned their trust, that they're willing to pour out the challenges that they're going on with their lives, whether it's eating disorder or personal fears, even with sports or public speaking. You know, those are things that they just share with us, and we're able to help them along in life.
Now I know that you have a time-consuming full-time job. Yeah. Because I also know I have listeners who are like, I would like to reach out and do this, but I don't have the time.
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
It is tough, and I believe for myself personally, both my wife and I are involved, and that really helps when your wife or your husband is also a partner with that vision. But there was a time that my wife was a full-time mom and couldn't be involved in young life like I was. However, I had her full support. Yet at the same time, I had to be sensitive to my own family's needs.
Because you have children.
Yeah, I have a 15, 13, and 10-year-old. And my kids, my boys would quite tell me like, "Hey Dad, we'd like some of your time." And if I was being daft and I wasn't paying attention, there are times that I would miss out on my own kids because I'm almost pouring out too much on them and neglecting on my own. So it is a balancing act. However, what has happened is my kids have also grown up in young life, and that they have seen the power of young life affecting positively people's lives, and they're on board. As a matter of fact, what I am now get to see now is that young life leaders, because now I work with college, we decided to stay out of middle school and high school. Now I get to see young life leaders ministering to my own kids, where they call me up and say, "Hey, Erwin, we would like to pick up your son and meet him for coffee." Hey, go ahead, have at it. Because I know there are things that, because we're parents, that they might openly confide with them, like, "Dad is being a jerk. How can I help? Can you help me with this?" Or
that's a hard thing to do as a parent.
It is.
It's a very vulnerable place to be.
And I trust the team that I'm surrounded in, that I know that if they were to minister to my kids, that they would be looking out not only for his best interest, but also for the best interest of my family.
So what do you think that you've learned about yourself?
What I've learned about myself is that, there's 24 hours in a day. And for myself, I would like to use as much as my waking moment impacting other people's lives. It's very easy to zone out and watch TV or just zone out. And don't get me wrong, I do all those. You could catch me on Facebook forever. However, I believe there is enough time in the day that all it takes is maybe one coffee date a week to mentor or minister with a young man, a young woman that is welcoming that friendship.
And it sounds like that really fills you up.
It does.
It's amazing how when you do things like that, it
Yeah.
impacts you and it does more for you than them sometimes.
I am a firm believer of it's better to give than to receive. And so one of the things that I always just reflect upon is that what is the legacy that I'll leave behind? If heaven forbid, if I was to pass and go on from my living life today, I don't want to just be recognized as a good startup operations engineer. I want to be known as a good father, a good husband, a good mentor, a good pal, a good buddy, a guy that helped me out in this. And that's what really fulfills me, is because I know I was created for this. God gave a purpose in my life, and I feel that my purpose in life is to impact young people.
So, for my audience then, because my job is to try to get people to listen to the experiences of my guests and act. I'm all about envision what your life would be like if you did this as a passion, explore how you can do it, and then execute a plan, like what is the first step? So what advice do you have on that front?
You have to be courageous. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Because let's be quite frank, that if we just stayed and did business as normal, we would probably, especially myself, would be a couch potato putting 10 hours on an Xbox game.
So many people are doing that though.
Yeah.
So many people are opting couch potato.
Right. And the reward that I have is the smiles, the laughters, the changed lives that I see with every person that I come with and communicate with.
So your final thought for everybody, Erwin, you have to motivate them to get off that couch.
My final thought is you just need to go out there. No one wants to go to the grave just being known as this person doing this job. There is much more to life than our everyday occupation that for the most part pays the bills. Now I do get professional satisfaction. I love my job. I love the people that I work with. I believe in the vision and the mission of my company. However, outside of that, there's still plenty more hours in the day where I could impact young people's lives.
Yeah, do something that's personally fulfilling, exciting, meaningful.
Absolutely.
Challenging. Thank you so much for speaking with us today. And you're on Facebook.
Yep.
So we will make you a part of our private group.
Okay.
And so people can reach out to you and get more information or guidance or motivation from you if you don't mind. Thank you so much for taking some time out of this amazing party to hang out with us.
Not a problem.
And I talk to you, 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 and we love, and we hate, and we demonstrate, we try to relate. This is my breakthrough. Whoa. Said now, this my breakthrough. Whoa. Oh man, this my breakthrough.